Hi there. I haven't done a video for absolutely ages, and part of the reason for that is that I have been researching and sort of making further changes in my own life and connected to my sort of development and my understanding of natural health as well. As you know, I'm really, really passionate about the way that we can take control of our own health, and I'm not recommending that anybody else do this. But I have such an unsettled feeling when I go anywhere near a doctor or a doctor's surgery that I've just kind of backed off from that and abandoned it. I mean, there are cases where I think, doctors are kind of essential, and that would be if you broke a bone or something like that. Although there's lots of people who talk about the way that you can actually fix your own broken bones, but that is a time when I would probably go to accident and emergency, or if I had an infection that I tried everything for and I couldn't shift it, and that actually did happen to me a couple of years ago prior to making these health changes, and I did end up having a short course of antibiotics. So, I mean, I kind of came into this with a background of, I'm going to say low level poor health. So I have a long-standing underactive thyroid. I've had fibromyalgia over the years, ME, lots of illnesses that are thought of as kind of stress related or caused by stress, various digestive problems which actually had got to the point where they were kind of debilitating and interfering with my ability to live my life in a sort of normal and active way. So as most of you all know who've seen my videos before, I have been vegan for some time, and one of the main reasons, the main reason that I became vegan was because when I found out what was going on and I sort of woke up to what's going on in the world, I just couldn't any longer involve myself in something which I just felt was so unethical and so wrong, and it was just eating away at me every single day. And so I made that change, and lots of people send me messages saying, oh, I really want to go vegan, but I've got a level of addiction to meat and all the rest of it, and I do really understand that, because for 100%, a lot of the food that is sold to us, particularly in supermarkets, is addictive, and there's a lot of research to suggest that neural pathways are actually created in the brain. So the more you have of something, the more you want it. But the good news is that goes for healthy food as well. I mean, I've seen this in my son, for instance, because I give him green juices every day. It was yesterday, actually, for the first time. He said, I want a green juice. Could you make me a green juice? And there you go. There's the proof that actually the more you have of something good, the more you want it. The more you have of something bad, the more you want it. So important to remember. So addiction does play a part in there, because we are creating these neural pathways through our behaviours, through our basically the way that our guts and our brain are basically interconnected. And again, there's loads and loads of research going into trying to understand this gut brain connection. So anyway, going back to what I was saying previously, I've been vegan for quite some time, but even though ethically I felt so much better, and I did see quite a lot of vibrational changes in my own sort of self, in terms of my happiness levels, my spiritual development and all the rest of it, there was still some low energy, some depression, some real sluggishness, which is also connected to my underactive thyroid. To be honest with you, doing the kind of job that I do, which is highly, highly stressful, and I'm trying to get out of it, but that's another issue. I felt really pretty incapacitated a lot of the time. I mean, I would get home from work and I would just sit there on the sofa. And to be honest with you, I was becoming a bit of a junk food vegan, in that, on the way home from work, I would buy like vegan cheese. I'd eat crisps. Okay, they were sort of, a healthy form of crisp, although actually that doesn't exist. And so that's what I was doing, and it just didn't sit right with me, and so I needed to make some changes. So then I started to research really heavily into raw veganism. I already knew about it, but I guess that previously I thought perhaps it was just too extreme for me, possibly too expensive. Would it be really boring? Would I be able to do it? Blah, blah, blah. So I had all these question marks. And, you know, like with so many things, it has to get bad enough for you to make changes. And for me, it really did get bad enough. I mean, I just reached a point where my mood was, you know, I was depressed. I was ill. I had terrible stomach pains, all the rest of it. Anyway, so I made this change to raw veganism, and really it was one of the best things that I've ever done. So I've cured my digestive problems, which have been with me for a good 10 years. A really, really interesting thing has happened is that my mood has lifted, and this is something that a lot of raw vegan vloggers actually talk about, you know, a lifting of depression, a raising of vibration. I find that I'm far more kind of accepting of other people, even if, you know, they don't agree with me on some of the things that I hold really dearly. So this is a really positive change, because at the end of the day, carrying around anger and resentment, you know, is poison to our bodies and to our spirits. So that's been a really, really good thing as well. Now, one of the things that going raw vegan does is it basically detoxifies the body, as long as you are removing pharmaceutical drugs. Other than those, I understand some people have to take those, certainly in the short term, although you may actually be able to cure any disease that you have through raw veganism. So what it's doing is it's basically detoxing the body. It's not so much the diet, because what you're actually doing is you're just giving the body the nutrients that it should have anyway. So it's not all in the diet. It's more that actually what you're doing is you're removing the things that stops the body from healing. So all the toxins that are in the food, in the meat, in the dairy, I've spoken about this before, the bovine growth hormone in the dairy and in cheese. I've spoken before about all the chemicals and antibiotics that are in meat, and the fact that it's very likely that on an energetic level you are actually ingesting that pain and suffering, and that's actually going into your system, contributing to ill health, depression and various long-term chronic diseases. So you're removing the things that stop the body from healing itself. So the body is an amazing organ, and it's very, very capable of healing itself. And that goes for pretty much every single disease under the sun. You know, the body is able to heal it given the right conditions. So what you're doing by going raw vegan is you're giving your body the conditions to heal itself. Another really, really important thing that you have to have is good quality water. I did a video before. I will actually repost that video at the bottom of this video, and I'll put a link to some of the machines, the water filtration machines that I recommend for getting the best quality water that you can. Because basically the tap water in the UK is full of so many things that you do not want to be ingesting. So you've got basically aluminium in there, you've got lead, you've got various other heavy metals, you've got all kinds of pharmaceutical drugs which go into the water supply, including estrogen. You've got chlorine. In many parts of the country you've got fluoride, which we know is a neurotoxin and is basically toxic and harmful to the body, which is why on the side of toothpaste it says basically do not eat it. You're cleaning your teeth with, and you're putting something in your mouth that you're not supposed to eat, yet it's put into the water supply and we're drinking that. So if you think about that over time, what kind of damage to the body that fluoride is doing. And then you've got all these heavy metals and this heavy sediment. When you boil your kettle and you look inside the kettle, you can actually see that kind of furry sediment which is left behind. That is going into the body and is basically calcifying, furring up, and over time adding to massive toxicity within the body. So really important to get those toxins out of the water, which you can do through using a high quality filtration system, and I recommend the ones that are actually portable, because then you can take them absolutely anywhere. And if you buy one, you don't need to buy another, because it can be transported. So if you wanted to take it out of the country, you wanted to go on holiday, you wanted to go off grid, you wanted to use it in your house, no issues whatsoever. Those ones use a gravity filtration system, which is basically the most natural way of filtering water that we have outside of nature. So I really, really do recommend that. Water is so important. Pharmaceutical drugs. Now, by going raw vegan, or by at least increasing massively your fruit and vegetable intake and the intake of high quality water, you may even get to a point where you can come off some of those pharmaceutical drugs that you have been taking for years. And there are absolutely countless incidences of this occurring. So I really suggest that you look into curing disease through diet. There's so much stuff on YouTube. There's so much information out there. I cannot really stress enough how important it is to take responsibility for your own health. Because I don't know if you've noticed, you go to the doctor, what does the doctor do? He prescribes a drug. So rarely is there a cure, which takes me back to the point that I made earlier about broken bones, that kind of thing. You know, you can get a cure to that. You can get a fix to that. In terms of as well, infection. You know, if you look at some of this old school medicine, like penicillin, you know, which has a natural origin to it. But the problem is with a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs that are around today, they are so removed from nature, it is unreal, and they are toxic to the body. Which is why all the advertisements on American television, when they're advertising a new drug, they list the side effects. And basically, these companies have a waiver. So they've told you about the side effects, which are actually not side effects. These are effects. Think about it. These are actual effects that you're experiencing. The use of the word side basically is employed to make you think, oh, it's just a side effect, it's just a little thing. Some of these side effects can kill you. So, yeah. Through changing your diet, changing the water, the quality of the water that you take into your body, you can detoxify the body so that it can do its natural job of healing itself, because that's what it's there to do. I feel it's really important, you know, having this information, because I spend a huge amount of my time kind of researching natural health and all this kind of stuff, and I do feel it is my duty really to pass that message on and put it out there, so that anybody who's suffering in any way, whether it be with a physical disease, or whether it be with, you know, depression, anxiety, some kind of, you know, more mental disability or disease, which, let's face it, it can be completely debilitating, depression. You know, and you cannot live your life. You know, we need to be basically empowering ourselves and doing everything that we can to get ourselves into optimum health. So I really hope that you find this video useful. If you've got any questions, then you can put a comment at the bottom, or you can send me a message. And like I said, I'm going to put a link to the video that I did previously on water and water filtration, and also some links to some really great water filtration units. So thanks a lot for listening.